when we talk to Emily Kramer, she talks about how like you've got the fuel and the engine. And the fuel are things like your messaging, your content, the design. And then the engine are like the channels, the tools, the analytics. Growth marketers are very much in the engine category. And I think like the pendulum is swinging from fuel to engine. And I'm worried that without really good fuel, the engine just stops being as effective as before.
The engine's just running on AI slop. It's running on that 83 gasoline. It's just not going to work.
I want to talk about another role that is growing. Any idea what is the fastest growing go to market role right now?
Is it that role you made up a couple months back?
Go to market engineering. Clay made it up, but I have been on the bandwagon of investigating it. But there's now 1,400 go to market engineers at US digital native companies. So the role like actually exists. Like there are real people in this role. It's 1,400 people with this role out of 1.4 million people that work in go to market. So like not the biggest role, but like it's starting to be real. And as a percentage of revops, so there is now one go to market engineer for every 50 people in revops at digital native companies. But within AI native companies, there's one go to market engineer for every 7 people in RevOps. AI companies are really eager to hire go to market engineers.
Is RevOps up or down?
RevOps is actually pretty stable. Like it is pretty flat year on year, which is much better than the rest of the go to market org. And so, like, these go to market engineer hires are not replacing RevOps. Like, RevOps is actually holding up quite well, and this is additive to it.
That checks out.
I do have to say, the titles for this role are really odd. I called them go-to-market engineers, but when you dig in further, they're called like 18 different things. Some people call them like growth ops, AI ops, RevOps engineers. OpenAI called one a lead to opportunity systems engineer. And then my favorite is like, I've seen this title pop up, member of revenue staff.
What does that mean?
It's like member of technical staff, but member of revenue staff. And some of these roles are very vague, but then others are kind of code for a go-to-market engineer.
Sounds like someone who works in the maintenance department of an Audi dealership.
I was gonna say, it's like you're hiring the Workday CTO to be a member of technical staff. Now you just gotta hire the Workday CRO to be a member of revenue staff.
Can you just touch on ratios again? Because my brain has been permanently geared towards these go-to-market ratios of like in the enterprise, you can have one system engineer supporting 2 account executives. Maybe in the mid-market, it's 3. Like, are all the ratios going to change?
For every 10 salespeople, companies have about 4 solutions engineers, a little more than 2 to 1. You have about 4 people in marketing roles, 3 customer success, 2 RevOps, and 2 other. These are based in terms of job posts. And so job posts, they're pretty good proxy for overall hiring. I would just say take it with a grain of salt, because some jobs, like you have one job post, but you're hiring multiple roles. Other times you have multiple job posts, like for different regions or slightly different titles, but it's actually for one role. In aggregate, it should work out pretty much okay.
I'm wondering if a lot of these go-to-market roles become more generalist where people are playing multiple positions on the court, because if they're using AI, theoretically, you should be able to go broader and deeper.
That is starting to play out, but it's hard to get super accurate data on it. With Sumble's data, they have the overall category, right, of like working and go to market. Then they have subcategories of like sales versus marketing, etc. They had more jobs that were hard to categorize as a subcategory, but they knew were in go to market. So that's telling me like something's going on in terms of either like vague titles. Like sometimes you see someone just with a title that says go to market or founding go to market, right? So there seems to be like more people with vague titles. I just can't say with confidence, are they the generalists and that they'll always be a generalist, or do people just love being vague?
Vague poster. Yeah, I hate vague posters. What's fascinating is all the jobs that have the title that we're used to seeing are either flat to down. The one that is growing, go-to-market engineer, it's going to be hard to find a go-to-market engineer who has go-to-market engineer experience, right? It's someone who has to morph from a different role.
If you're trying to hire someone with 10, 15, 20 years of go-to-market engineer experience, like good luck. This is often someone that's like maybe a former engineer that's worked on go-to-market. Sometimes they're like in RevOps or marketing ops, but they're more technical. And so they like get really excited about this stuff. But then otherwise, it's just kind of people that like working on hard problems. They think in from like a technical and product lens. They're going to automate different aspects of go to market. We used to say in SaaS, like this is kind of like a growth PM who kind of owned a lot of the PLG funnel. The go to market engineer is kind of like that, but with an AI funnel.
Like, I'm trying to piece together, Kyle, from just like a macro perspective, is if the barriers to building software have been lowered by so much, and we think that distribution is the final mode here, and you pair that with the ungodly amounts of funding that a lot of these companies have raised, like, I'd expect them to say, like, we have to be superior and go to market.
Companies are also under pressure, right? SaaS companies we've talked about are trying to get to like break even or profitable. There's a lot less funding available for SaaS companies. Go to market is important, but they don't have unlimited budgets. Like they can't just burn money right now. I think the other thing is that go to market hires are often very dependent on like how well they perform in terms of either growing pipeline or closing that pipeline. And I think for AI native companies, a lot of that's been organic and word of mouth. And there's just so much kind of pent up demand for AI products that they haven't needed to hire as many people and go to market to build that pipeline and close it. And then for everyone else, it's just really hard to get people's attention right now when there's this shiny new AI stuff and an AI initiative happening at the company.
What career advice would you have for somebody who's looking to get into go to market or plan their next role in go to market with the data that you have?
My main advice would be develop AI skills. So become a Claude pilled marketer or go to market engineer. The number of job posts that are explicitly looking for Claude skills is up like double quarter over quarter. It's becoming like one of the de facto requirements. And so I think looking at it is like the jobs that are up are more technical roles like growth marketing, and go to market engineering. Within other roles, the jobs that are up are people that have an ability to demonstrate these AI skills. And so just get really comfortable. It's hard to do because it feels like AI it keeps changing constantly. But experiment with AI tools, look to try something with AI first, even if it might take a little bit longer. Like building that muscle of defaulting to I think will make people so much more career optionality right now.
Well, I also think it's going to be used in an interview question in some way, shape, or form to like show me. Like, I interviewed Martin, the CFO of Vercel, and he was saying that every person who interviews for the company has to build something using V0 just to demonstrate like they know what they're doing. For a lot of these go to market roles, especially if it's an AI native company, they're probably going to want to see you demonstrate, you know what you're doing with their product.
Yeah, I think that a lot of these companies are going to have homework assignments. And it used to be like, hey, don't use AI in this homework assignment because you'll be cheating. Now it's like the whole point is to see how you use AI on this homework assignment. What was your biggest surprise, if any, in this data?
My biggest surprise was revops being flat because it seems like the most AI thing that like revolves around coordination. You're not selling to anybody, right? You're making the trains run on time, that like wasn't getting crushed. I thought that that was going to be something that people thought they could vibe code their way through, and you could have a salesperson. It's only 2% of their time that it takes for them to like rig up like Salesforce or something. So it says, hey, you need business minded people still to help the people selling to do that better.
Well, and those people can, in theory, have a bigger impact now than before because there's such a much more complicated tech stack. The data hygiene needs to be really, really good for the AI tools to
Yeah.
not produce
Yeah.
slop on the other end. Right now, at least, like RevOps is that glue that's going to make everything else more effective.
What was your biggest takeaway?
So the role outside of go-to-market engineering that mentioned Claude the most was actually in marketing. So marketing jobs had more requirements of Claude skills than RevOps, than obviously sales. And I don't normally think of marketing as being like the tip of the spear for AI adoption. Like marketers or creative people, they, work on ad campaigns, they like making videos, they like making content. Marketers have really become data driven and they're often like the most forward thinking in AI of anyone in the go to market team. It surprised me, but it's also cool to see marketing have that mantle of driving AI adoption forward because that's not what I would have thought a year ago.
You have to imagine just the speed of iteration for things like ad copy and the like. It's got to be miles and miles ahead of where it was 5 years ago. So I think it's also going to be a ton more expected out of the marketing team, even from CFOs. Because if some people think that part of the marketer's job can be done by AI, they're going to be looking at like what's the like return on having these people who are running these campaigns.
I was talking to someone who's a product marketing leader in tech, and she became a freelancer working on product marketing with a bunch of different companies. And she said her role is more valuable now than before. I mean, it's especially valuable on a fractional basis, but she's more valuable than before because for every company, like when you're setting up Claude, you need your context file. And that's like, who's your ICP? Who are your competitors? What's your differentiation? And then, like, that becomes the foundation for everything else that gets layered on top of that. And if you don't have a good product marketing strategy and positioning, your AI is going to be garbage. And so I think what's fascinating is that for some people that can kind of like reposition to be AI native, I think you can even find the fundamentals of your job. That's where the alpha is now.
Yeah, really well said.
When I went all in on my newsletter Growth Unhinged last year, I quickly decided it was time to make the switch to Beehive. I chose Beehive because they're serious about powering the internet's best newsletters. Beehive's all-in-one platform brings together newsletters, websites, and every tool you need to grow and earn. And they keep making it better. You can now launch, host, and monetize your podcast entirely on Beehive. You can host webinars on Beehive. And you can access Beehive through the new MCP. I just use Beehive's MCP in Claude Cowork to audit my site, prioritize SEO fixes, and analyze subscriber trends. It's my newest obsession. If you care about owning your audience, Beehive is a no-brainer. Try Beehive for free by going to beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com. Use Kyle30 for 30% off your first 3 months.